Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. We are continuing in our series of affirmations for self-healing based upon this book by Swami Kriyananda, Affirmations for Self-Healing. So this week's topic is work. And first I'll read some thoughts on the topic of work. Work should be done with a creative attitude, never for the sake of selfish gain, but for the chance it gives us to help create a better world. Those who work with the thought of pay live in the future. They lose the habit of living here and now, where alone true happiness can be found. Work should always be done as well as possible, not out of self-conceit, but in gratitude for the free gift of life, of sunshine, of water, of air, and in gratitude simply for our God-given power to be useful to our fellow man. Now let's do our affirmation. First, we'll do it in a loud speaking voice. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I'll do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
Now in a normal speaking voice, a little quieter. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I'll do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
Now in a whisper, drawing into the subconscious mind where habits are formed. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
I offer to thee the very best that is in me.
Now mentally only, but with ever deepening concentration, focusing at a point between the eyebrows. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I'll follow along silently with this prayer. Beloved Lord, who so wonderfully created the high snowy mountains, the bounding rivers, the colorful fragrant flowers, the vast heaving oceans, and the distant glittering stars, manifest through me thy perfect joy. Om, peace. Amen.
So today's affirmation on work says, I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. And what does that mean? How do we actually do that? How do we bring God into our daily work? And at a very conscious level, we do that through prayer, through inviting God to help us in what we do. Pray to God when you need help, when you need guidance, when you're looking for solutions to problems that you're having, and God will be there to help you. He will respond to your prayers, though it may take practice, though it may be a gradual thing, sort of an inner relationship that you develop over time. Yogananda had a prayer, which he considered one of his highest prayers. I will reason, I will, and I will act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity toward the right path in everything. And this is just a reminder that God is everything. He is in everything. So he reasons through your reasons. He is the intelligence behind the thinking that you exercise in your decision making. I will. He is the energy. He is the energy animating everything universally, but even in your daily tasks, getting things done. And he manifests through the energy and willpower that you exercise in order to accomplish things. And I will act. Ultimately, he is the action that you perform. And so remembering this and developing a practice of prayer is very helpful to help you realize that God is working through you. And at a more general level, God is all divine qualities, and we can uplift our work no matter what we may be doing, no matter the the particular rhythms, whether it's up or downs, whether work is going well and you're experiencing positive relationships, very creative work environment, or when things may be a little disharmonious, when things start feeling stuck. You can do your best to introduce positive qualities in no matter your work situation. If things are going well, express gratitude for the way things are going. Feel that God is the success that you're experiencing. Feel that it is God that you are serving and those you are working with. And in the challenging times, that's when you can call to the Lord for help. If things are feeling stuck, pray for solutions, pray for the patience to see things through. Maybe it's a quality that you need to develop. Challenges are, work is a part of daily life, and part of daily life is to give us the things that we need to grow. Challenges might come in the form of tests that require us to develop greater concentration, to summon greater energy and develop our willpower in order to do our work better. And also perhaps with greater attitude, perhaps disharmonious work relationships are a call for ourselves to be more aware of others' realities, to be compassionate. And God are all these positive qualities that can help us grow towards greater happiness and to be a greater service to others. And we ought to remember that that which we give, we also receive. So the more positive energy and vibration that we put out, the more we will begin to grow and see God manifesting in our lives. And at the highest level, we can see God being in the lives of saints and people who are spent their life dedicated to serving, living with God. We can see God more readily manifest. And a great example of an individual was Luther Burbank, an American horticulturist, and who lived at the time of Yogananda. And if you recall, Yogananda dedicated his autobiography to Luther Burbank, who he deemed an American saint. And he was a brilliant horticulturist. He bred all sorts of species of plants together. He created new varieties, very fruitful varieties. One of his most famous was the thornless cactus. And in the autobiography, Yogananda quotes him as saying, the secret to plant breeding, apart from scientific knowledge, is love. So he would speak to his plants. He would offer them vibrations of love. He was in tune with the nature of plants, and he developed the ability to communicate with them. And that was the secret to his creativity. And the fruits of his labors were so bountiful that though his name become part of the American lexicon. To Burbank something was meant to bring out the inherent natural qualities of something, to really improve something. And so Yogananda, in his autobiography, exclaimed, "Ah, Burbank, your very name has become synonymous with goodness." And so this is all of our potential. And we should also remember the importance of karma yoga. So karma, service itself, can be a path towards yoga, union with God. And there's a great story that illustrates the power of karma yoga and of living one's life in service. And that is the story of a devotee in an ashram whose sole task in that ashram was to carry wood from the woodpile back to the ashram every day to provide heat. And this devotee had arrived, of course, seeking God, seeking the Guru's teachings, and seeking to grow spiritually. But he also just faithfully carried out this daily task of carrying wood for his guru. So he would do this faithfully every day, servicely and selflessly. And the days passed of him carrying this wood. The days passed, the months passed, the years passed. And one day he was carrying wood, doing the same task, and he ruffled his hair, and he saw that a hair fall to the ground, and he noticed that it had turned gray. And this really disheartened him. He realized, look how much time has passed. Look at how I've aged. I came seeking God. I came seeking the teachings. I thought I would have developed spiritually. And this brought sorrow that he had missed the opportunity for spiritual development. And he began to cry. A single tear began to drop from his eyes. And as that was happening, his guru was there, and he quickly caught the tear. And he spoke in surprise to his disciple. He said, my son, don't you know that if a tear from a man such as yourself were to touch the soil, that the land would experience famine for 7 years? And so that illustrates the power of service when done with the right attitude and when done with self-offering to God. Remaining in the present moment, remaining with the right spirit and the right attitude, and with remembering God through our work, purifies us. It purifies the heart. Service purifies the heart. And of course, I forgot to mention that at the very end of that story, the guru touches his disciple and he experiences samadhi, the experience of God consciousness and liberation. So let us always remember God in our service, and remember that in doing our service well, doing it dharmically and with love, with positive attitude, with good energy, that we will become closer to our goal, which is remembering God fully.
Well, thank you, Prashad. When I read this affirmation, it brought to mind something I read from Swami Kriyananda about his early days at Yogananda's ashram. He was talking to an older disciple who'd been there quite a long time, Vera Brown. And Vera was telling him about this experience that she had with Yogananda. She was serving in the office, and Master came to her one time. He said, "You work too much. You shouldn't do so much work." And she thought, well, okay. So she gave some of her tasks to other people to do. And then she didn't have as much work to do. But then a day or two later, Yogananda came back, and he gave her a whole bunch more things to do. So it was right back where she started. And then he came back again and said, "You shouldn't work so hard. You're working too much." So this repeated. She delegated some more of her tasks to other workers. And then Yogananda came and he gave her some more tasks to do again and told her she was working too hard. So this pattern, she thought, well, obviously there's a lesson for me here in what's going on. And she meditated and thought upon it. And then she came back to Yogananda the next time she saw him and said, "Sir, what if we don't call it work? What if we call it service?" And Yogananda said, "That's the spirit, because all this time, just the very thought of work has been making you tired. Whereas if you're serving someone, you do it with joy and happiness. But when you're working, we have the idea that it has to be hard and it's crushing labor or something. And this is very important that we try to bring this into our daily tasks as well. We feel that this work, as we call it, is something that we have to do, and it's so heavy, and and we get bored and we get into a dull routine. But if we can just, it's just one task, a different task. Does it really matter what we're doing if we do it for God and with God with us. So if we can try to get out of the work consciousness and just be in activity and be in God consciousness. And there was an interesting study that they did with preschoolers where they had them drawing. They picked a bunch of preschoolers, they love to draw. And they had one group that they said, drawing is a good thing to do. So after you draw a picture, we'll give you a good achievement certificate. And there was a control group that was just drawing for fun. And they found that the people who were doing the drawing so that they could get the certificate at the end, they spent about half as much time drawing the picture as the ones who were just drawing for fun. So the ones who were getting their certificate, because they were being rewarded for what they were doing, it was in a sense being turned into work. And so they did just enough to satisfy the requirements. And then they got their certificate and for whatever that was worth. And the other ones, they just drew a picture and they had fun. And we have this attitude, we comes into our work all the time. People often work and they look forward to the weekend when they won't have to work, or when they get paid and they can buy whatever it is that they desire, whether it be maybe they're looking for a new TV or they want to go out for dinner with their friends. And they're looking to the future for their enjoyment rather than the present. And I have the privilege of working in the Karma Yoga with the Karma Yogis here. They come to the Expanding Light at Ananda Village. And one of the things that we can see is how much joy people can bring into their daily activities. The dishes at the Expanding Light sometimes, especially at lunch, there could be over 100 people coming for dishes, and there's like massive stacks of dishes, like all over the counter. You can hardly move in there. But those are often the happiest places to be for the Karma Yogis. And people work, and others, when they finish, they come to help finish up. And there can be a lot of joy and happiness from washing the dishes. And it's beautiful that, God is in the dishes, God is in everything, and God is in us. And if we can bring this kind of attitude into our work, bring joy, which I'll tell you one more little story about Richard Feynman, who, for those who are not familiar with the name, is a famous physicist. And he found at a time that he was getting bored of physics. When he was at Cornell University, he was a professor, he was very successful. But he found he was considering giving up physics because it had become boring. And he thought back to when he first started to do physics, and he did physics for fun. He would just think about a situation or a question and think, I wonder how that could work. And it fascinated him. But then he got kind of into a routine, and he did the work that was expected of him. He did what people expected him to do. And it wasn't so interesting anymore. And he thought about this, and he thought, well, could I make it fun again? And one day he was in the cafeteria, and somebody was spinning a plate on the table, and he noticed it was wobbling and was spinning. He noticed that the logo, the Cornell logo in the middle of the plate, was spinning around faster than the wobble in the plate. And he wondered, I wonder what that theory is. And so he took the time just for fun to work out the physics of the spinning plate and the wobbling plate. And he found that the spin was twice as fast as the wobble. And he told his colleague, said, hey, look, I did this, and look, it's twice as fast as the wobbling is. And his colleague says, well, that's great, but what use is that? And he said, well, it's no use whatsoever. But he had a lot of fun doing this, and it revived his interest, and he was figuring out different wobble and spin rates at the different ways you could spin a plate. And before you know it, he was back working at what he'd been doing before, and he had great enthusiasm for what just a short time ago he'd found dull and boring. And so a sense of play, because everything is, God is joy, and work can be joyful too. And we should keep in mind that, we should approach things with joy and happiness, because those are all very true aspects of God. And the more we can do that, the more God will be with us in our work. And now, Prashad will lead us in a longer version of the affirmations.
So I'll reread Swamiji's words on work. Work should be done with a creative attitude, never for the sake of selfish gain, but for the chance it gives us to help create a better world. Those who work with the thought of pay live in the future. They lose the habit of living here and now, where alone true happiness can be found. Work should always be done as well as possible, not out of self-conceit, but in gratitude for the free gift of life, of sunshine, of water, of air, and in gratitude simply for our God-given power to be useful to our fellow man. Now let's do the affirmation together. We'll do it 3 times. We'll do it with more concentration and longer. So 3 times in each phase. So let's start with a loud affirmative voice. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Now in a normal speaking voice, I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Now in a whisper, I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Now silently, bringing it to the superconsciousness at the point between the eyebrows. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I will offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Now pray silently with me. Beloved Lord, who so wonderfully created the high snowy mountains, the bounding rivers, the colorful fragrant flowers, the vast heaving oceans, and the distant glittering stars, manifest through me thy perfect joy. Om. Peace. Amen. Well, thank you for joining us today. We wish you all the very best and blessings with your work, with your service, and may these affirmations ever help you in your spiritual growth. And it's a joy to be with you. And we look forward to connecting with you more on behalf of the monastery worldwide.
Yes, thank you for being with us today.